Hello and welcome to Discovering Grayslake, unveiling the stories and people that make our town so unique. I'm your host, David Wool, and I'm thrilled to bring you this new podcast that explores fascinating stories and experiences of local business owners and community leaders, right here where we call home. Grayslake Rehabilitation Center is a community-based private practice physical therapy provider. Do you know they have 13 clinical providers with various levels of specialties, including orthopedics, sports, neurology, vestibular, geriatrics, pelvic floor, and aquatic? What? Did I just say they have a pool? Well, they do, and it's the largest indoor warm water pool in Lake County, featuring 2 underwater treadmills and swim currents. And recently added clinical treatment specialties, in layman's terms, shockwave. They have both radial and focus units that are the newest tool in regenerative medicine, available to everyone. They pride themselves on the most current and up-to-date specialized care to keep you moving. If you're looking for physical therapy, make sure to see our friends at Grayslake Rehabilitation. 1 minute, your world is normal. The next, it's gone. A flood, a fire, a crime scene. Your home shattered. Your business shut down. Your life on pause. But in the darkest hour, when chaos knocks at your door, that's when Serve Pro of Northwest Lake County shows up. Not just a company, not just a cleanup crew, but neighbors, parents, coaches, locals who care. Drake and his team aren't just restoring properties. They're restoring peace, restoring dignity, restoring lives. So when your worst day arrives, call the oh no guy who becomes your thank God guy. Serve Pro of Northwest Lake County. Locally owned, nationally known, unshakably trusted. From devastation to restoration. Serve Pro, Northwest Lake County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Discovering Grayslake. I am recording here from the Loop Marketing. Shout out to my buddy Eli. We're right at the end of Lake Street, what I call in air quotes, the luxury condominiums up here. So I got to meet this gentleman. I was at a chamber event where we had kind of a, what was it, like a
chamber luncheon?
A luncheon. Yeah, and they had 5 different businesses or associations.
Yeah, they were. The panel was openly discussing their businesses. Some were new, some were old. So
yeah,
it's good to hear from you.
You were talking about the people or the businesses?
Both. Yeah. I feel a little awkward sometimes being in these kinds of meetings with the chamber and with the Exchange Club that I'm also in. Yeah. I feel like I'm way too young to be in these groups.
No, it's good. It's good. So it's Javier Franco.
Yes.
And when I sat down and we started talking with AYSO.
Yes, sir.
Which is the
American Youth Soccer Organization.
Gotcha. And you had people raise their hands either that had kids involved in it or, from the past that have been in it. And I raised my hand because I was AYSO about 150 years ago.
That was totally, like I said at the Chamber of Commerce, that's been my biggest surprise in being involved in an organization as short as I have. I mean, this is a guy coming from, once again, like I said, a military background and having worked for Harley Davidson. Yeah. I mean, these are 2 groups of very, people that are like, oh, you can always find a Harley owner, or especially nowadays, you can throw a stick and hit a vet, Right. So, but AYSO, it's like, I feel like I've meet even more people.
Yeah, it's a cool thing and like-minded.
It's crazy.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I appreciate everybody, all our veterans out there. We appreciate everything that. I could never do any of that, and I tip my hat to you if I was wearing one today. But yeah. So when we were first talking about, I said, how long have you lived in Grayslake?
I've been in Grayslake now 10 years. I believe this year makes 10 years.
10 years. And fun fact, you said this is the longest you've lived anywhere?
Yeah, I think this is honestly the longest I've lived anywhere.
Running from the law? Or?
Yeah, it feels like it sometimes. I mean, when I was younger, it was debt collectors. Yes, but that's everybody of the millennial generation, I think, these days. But no, I mean, I'm a product of divorce of parents. So because of that, I spent my formative years from like 7 to through my teens, bouncing back and forth. And then after I got out of high school and I joined the Army, and I was a National Guardsman though. But in 2003, when you joined the National Guard, nobody told you that you'd be spending an absurd amount of time on orders. So I'd bounce from one place to another on orders. And then when I got out in 2009, my wife joined the Army.
Oh, man.
We met right after my first tour, my tour in Iraq. So she joined the Army in 2010 when I got out.
Oh my gosh, one coming in, one going out.
Then I became the person chasing her around everywhere we got sent.
I see.
So that's just how it ended up being, you know. And to tell you the truth, we get itchy every couple of years. We're like, oh my God, we still live here.
That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah. And I had absolutely no plans to ever end up in Illinois by any stretch of the imagination. You could have lined up 100 options. Illinois would have never have been on that list.
Looking for a car dealer that actually feels like your hometown? Welcome to City Chevrolet of Grayslake, where the vibe is friendly, the pressure is off, and you'll always be treated like family. Meet Anthony Scala. He's just not the owner. He's a guy that grew up in the car business, worked his way from porter to owner. Anthony believes in people first. That's why City Chevy sponsors your kids' teams, your town events. And matter of fact, this show, they give back every chance they get. Anthony thinks that the experience of buying a car should be fun. No pressure, just honest people who care. Whether you need a new Chevy, a quality used car, or just service you can trust, City Chevy is here for you. Come visit City Chevrolet of Grayslake right off of 120. And thank you for sponsoring our town, our stories, our voice. Let's get after it, Grayslake.
But I started working for Harley Davidson in 2010.
Which Harley? Where were you working?
I originally worked back east, Frederick Harley Davidson, which sadly went out of business about a year or so ago. And they were a legacy store, is where I originally started with Harley Davidson. I did well for myself with the organization, caught some people's attention, and while I was moving around with my wife, I wasn't working with them at that time because it's not an easy transfer from dealership to dealership because they're all independently owned. But I got back to the East Coast after she got out. So we wanted to go back, start our lives on the East Coast. Harley Davidson comes knocking on the door. They're like, "Hey, are you still wanting to work with Harley Davidson? We got a dealership out here. Well, they need somebody with your special qualifications, which is for me was managing rental motorcycles.
Interesting.
So, which was a rarity in Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
So there was only a handful of us that could manage what are called large scale fleets, and they brought me out here, and I started running a 350 bike fleet.
Wow.
So, and I worked for, like I said, so from 2010 through 2018, I was working with, to one degree to another with Harley Davidson. And after that, I just decided to get out of the rat race, and I've been technically retired ever since then.
Really? Okay, so you talk about moving around and talking about you never find yourself in Illinois. How the heck do you land in Grayslake?
For the first year that I worked for Harley Davidson, I was a workaholic. So I lived in a hotel, and I just had no time to go looking for a place.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until my wife started getting frustrated because we only had one child at this time. My one child was originally born on the East Coast. My other two kids are bred Illinoisans, and I brought them to my home that I currently have.
Yeah.
So very much part of the town in that sense. But Grayslake, and she's like, I'm tired of, after a while of me living in a hotel, she decided, I'm going to come be there with you, even if it's in the hotel. A couple of months of that, she's like, I don't know how you put up with this. Well, I only go to work in here, so it's a little easy for me.
Sure.
So she's like, no, we're not doing this. And then we got to the point where we were like, we're tired of trying to find a rental property.
Mm-hmm.
That literally off of a whim, she said, well, let's see if we can buy a house. 2 weeks later, we're looking at a house.
And you land in English Meadows.
We're landing in English Meadows in Grayslake.
That's awesome.
Great schools,
yeah.
Quiet community. From where I was working at the time, it's just a 20-minute shot down the highway. So it's not like I was commuting into the city or anything like that. So it just naturally made sense. And I come from the East Coast where everybody commutes. So 20 minutes down the highway is nothing compared to that.
Interesting.
So we've been really happy with it. We get, like I say, we get stir crazy every couple of years.
Sure.
So we got to go on vacations and just remind ourselves, that there is a world outside. But Grayslake has been good to us, and so every day we're grateful for the fact that we can be here. We're grateful for the neighborhood our kids grew up in.
Yeah.
Sure. It's that picturesque movie thing where you have the kids running around the neighborhood and the dogs running around and everybody, being good friends with their neighbors, mostly.
Yeah, well, for the most part.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I think about things all the time and think that we're really fortunate to live in a really cool place that we do. The way that you describe that, there's a ton of people that do not have that luxury to have their kids run around in neighborhoods like that. And
no, as I've always told people that living in the United States in general is the exception to the rule of the way the world runs. And, so the quality of life that we have here is so incredible in general.
Right.
And then when I think of a place like Grayslake, it's just that's just another notch above that. It's almost that, Pleasantville experience that, that you're getting, that picturesque feeling and the way you live. And I was lucky enough to spend my high school years in a similar community. So it feels a lot like home in that sense.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for my kids to have that.
Amen. All right, so military guy turned Harley Davidson guy, moved to Grayslake. How in the heck do you end up so involved in AYSO?
Well, I played soccer obviously as a child.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are Colombian, and I was born in New York, so I'm the first of our family to be born in the United States.
Okay.
First generation American from them. Soccer is part of the culture of the life. It's the world sport, and it's even more of the sport of South America. So naturally, we played on the weekends. We played with our families, and then I played in recreational leagues too. And the process of bouncing back and forth from my parents, I actually played in Colombia for a while when I lived there with my mother for a while, and we played very competitively there at a very young age. And because we played so competitively at such a young age, I developed a distaste for highly competitive soccer at a young age.
Did you lose the fun out of it?
Yes, because we were representing the school, and it's a very big deal there. In 9th and 10th grade to be playing soccer for the school. It's like as if you're playing it for the high school here.
Mm-hmm.
And then so we would leave early from school to go to tournaments or to go to away matches. We would have weekends of tournaments, and we're talking about a 9-year-old doing this for his school. I mean, what you could never conceive in elementary school.
Right.
I could never conceive of my kid 9 years old right now doing that for his elementary school. It's just not the culture.
Right.
So when I came back home from Colombia and started living with my father, I just didn't want to be part of that circle again. I enjoyed soccer. I love doing it. I love playing the sport. It's a kid's game. But I could never see myself being just run that deep again into it. So I just did a lot of recreational through high school. Could I have played for more competitive leagues? Sure. I had been invited to play for my high school and all that, but it just was done for me as far as that level of play. And so I enjoyed it. I enjoyed recreational soccer.
So what rekindled that? Like after you play, kids?
It's like anybody else. It's just like things come full circle in life.
Yeah.
You're going to do something as a child, and then you rediscover it when you're older, or your kids start to discover it. Like plenty of other parents, my kids, saw the Parks District kids playing at the soccer field, so they wanted to try it. And I'm like, oh yeah, Dad's got a soccer ball, no problem.
Right.
And yeah, Dad likes soccer, so let's go play soccer. And it's as easy as that. And then the Parks District only goes up to a certain age here in Grayslake. That's when AYSO kind of has to take over. Once you go past like 8 or 10, it's done. They don't offer the longer term program, so we had to find something recreational for them. And then when you go to look online, you look up local clubs, you look up recreational play, and you find it, and then you make the decision. Go try out for the club, which my kids have done. And for us, just to be totally transparent, once we got the price tag quote for what it costs to play for those organizations, we made the decision that, well, my kid's not going to be a phenom tomorrow.
Right.
So let's start with recreational.
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up in AYSO. We just made it was the best it was the proper financial choice at the time to introduce our kids into a sport that they didn't really know really well, but it looked like they might enjoy it, so it just seemed like the smartest way to dip your feet into the waters.
Right. So the kids start playing, and then obviously your love of the game and everything. What point did you just like, oh, I got to get involved with this. I got to help.
Well, I didn't coach it first.
Really?
No. This is not one of these, Dad wants to coach, so we're going to sign you up kind of scenarios.
We're taking a quick break just to say hello because everybody knows Nano. And Nano knows real estate. And actually, I believe that's the name of her Instagram page. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or know somebody in the market for a home, contact Nano from Baird & Warner. She's a Grayslake girl helping out Grayslake people.
I wanted to be supportive of my kids, and I wanted to be an observer and enjoyer of the sport on the sidelines. But the organization got to a point where it needed the help and it needed the bodies, and I'd like to say that I've devoted my life to service to one degree to another, and finding a way to, make the people around me happier, better. Sandwiched between the Army and Harley, I did experiential education. So I did corporate team building for adults, but also for youth. So it was a lot of young kids and a lot of wayward teens getting in trouble.
Yeah.
So I had experience with kids and working those scenarios in which you got to kind of get them to cooperate. And that's all what a team is, getting strangers to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I could be a contributor. I could contribute to that. And I said, okay, do you need help? Once again, I was retired at this point. And I said, you know what? I need to spend my time doing something, other than sitting around fiddling with the wood in the garage.
Right.
So that's when I just jumped in, and I started coaching at first. Then I convinced my wife to start coaching. And my wife has never played soccer. So
really?
She comes from a competitive gymnastics and cheerleading background.
Right.
She played field hockey. All she knew about soccer was what she saw on TV or in a movie somewhere. She did not know the sport. But she was an athlete. She understood how to lead and how to teach and how to coach because she'd done it in other sports.
Right.
And half the battle is simply knowing how to manage kids and how to be a leader more than knowing the sport, especially at the lower ages. You can teach anybody the sport. Right. I think that's what scares a lot of parents, honestly, at first. It's why it's hard to get volunteers in general. Parents are like, oh, I don't know soccer. You don't need to know soccer. Do you know kids? Do you fancy yourself as a bit of a leader? Can you get a carry on with a group, and next thing you know, you're coaching.
Right. And especially depending what age group you start with. The kids don't know what they're doing either, right?
And an AYSO does such a good job of offering training, all free. So it's like, if you're in a good region, and I think we are now in a good region with Grayslake, you have experienced coaches. You have guys like me that have played a long time, but have a lot of teaching experience. And I have a lot of now coaching training under my belt. We have other coaches that have played semi-pro overseas or whatever, and they're volunteers like the rest of us. And there's coaches we have a coach right now in our summer program that works with us. He's been coaching over 15 years. So these aren't guys that just walked off the street and decided they were going to coach, but they're right there with you. So if you're new, a lot of these guys will just walk you through it and they'll give you tips. I'm happy to have any new coach come along to me and say, hey, Javier, can I, watch one of your training? Can I see how you do things, or how would you do this and that? I'm like, I'm here to download what I have. If that's the legacy you leave behind, the knowledge you pass down. So.
Amen. Okay, so when you were talking about ages, so what age group does AYSO start?
AYSO starts as low as what's called the 6U age group, which is like 5 and 6, or as low as 4, and that's for like really grassroots soccer. That's where you basically just do 1 hour practice, and that's all you do, once a week practice. Half of the time is devoted to learning the fundamentals of just moving around with the ball, coordinating with the ball, and then the other half is play, and you just do it once a week. And it's just similar to what the Park District does. It's what a lot of youth, all of youth soccer, kind of tries to follow the model that U.S. Youth Soccer sets out for everybody. And there's kind of general guidelines as to how you should operate each age group. And, AYSO tailors it to fit, their philosophies of play and all that, which is a philosophy of player development. Above all, more important than any win is the philosophy of developing a better soccer player.
Right.
So with that in mind, everything is geared in that direction. So you start with your 6U, and then you move into your 8U, which is 8 and below, so it's between 6 and 8 years old. And then you go, which is a 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, kind of depending which region. And that's where you now if you can start to play other teams. You'll practice once a week, and then you'll play your match. They're shorter, condensed matches on a smaller field, smaller goals, smaller ball, everything tailored to fit the age group and their appropriate abilities at that point.
Yeah.
And in each stage of this is coach training that you can do. This tailored to the age group. AYSO's coaching training is nationally certified and accredited. Outside of what the United States Soccer Federation does, which is what all clubs and everything does, and having personally taking training on both sides, I can tell you they run parallel right to each other, more or less. It's not until you get up into the upper age groups that you see a bit of a divergence in that, but they run right next to each other. So it's to credit to AYSO and their ability to put a program so close to that like that.
And that organization, one of the things that struck me too, when did AYSO start? You were saying
1964. It's the oldest youth soccer organization in the country, hands down, ahead of everybody else. It's broken off into the lowest level is a region, so like we're Grayslake region.
Okay.
And each region has a range of programs. So the what's called the core program runs 6U, 8U, 10U. 12U, 14U, 19U. There is an adult side of the program, and there is what's used to be called the VIP program. For the love of God of me, I can't remember the name of it now, but it's the special needs side of it.
Awesome.
So those are folks with developmental issues, whether it's mental or physical. They have an opportunity where they can still enjoy the sport and enjoy soccer in an environment tailored for them, with instruction tailored for them. So, and it's a good way of, giving everybody the opportunity to enjoy the sport.
Is that
Epic? Excuse me, it's called Epic.
Epic. Is that available here?
We don't have an Epic program right now. Mundelein, one of our sister regions.
Yeah.
They have a good Epic program, and they've had it for a while. So whenever we get folks that are oh, my child has these issues, he's in a wheelchair, or, whatever, I'm like, Mundelein's your way to go. Those guys know what they're doing with that. We'd like to obviously have that because we want to have a full range, full spectrum program, which is why we've brought back 6U for this fall, which is now getting bodies and registering in, and why we brought back the high school teams. Which started in the spring, which we were lucky enough to have a high school boys team, and we're fighting for a girls high school team now to offer a full range program.
This is Bob Churchill. I know you are always there for your family, caring for your children, your spouse, and even your parents. But in critical times, will you be able to make decisions that assure the best result for your family? A power of attorney may be necessary if on behalf of a loved one you need to talk to a doctor, a bank, or the college infirmary. A power of attorney may sound daunting, but the lawyers at Churchill, Quinn, Hamilton, and Van Doncelar can easily create this document for you. We are right here in Grayslake, supporting the community for over 122 years. Reach out to us at grayslakelaw.com or call us at 847-223-1500. Whether you need a power of attorney, a will, or legal help with your business, we'll take care of you so you can care for others. Go to grayslakelaw.com today for more information. Have a wonderful day, and now back to the program.
Hey neighbors, this is Bill Mock with the Grayslake Chamber of Commerce. And if you're looking for a network of hard-working, customer-focused, and generally friendly local businesses who are dedicated to helping each other succeed, then I'd like to invite you to check out and consider joining our Grayslake Chamber. We offer our members so many ways to advance their businesses through social networking events, special event sponsorships, informative lunch and learns, and the ever-popular after-hours mixers. Come see why we say we're the new wave of business here in Lake County.
And that way you can go all the way across. My daughter's 8 right now, and she's an AU player. I want her to grow and have the choice. Am I devoted enough to soccer? Do I want to go to play for my high school? Right. But no, I'm not that devoted to the sport, but I enjoy it, and it's good activity, and the camaraderie and the friendships that I made, I want to keep playing it. So AYSO still has that option there for me. Right. So if we don't plant that seed now and fight for it now, she won't have that down the road. Right. And I don't want to deprive her of that opportunity.
So that's one of the big goals right now is to get a girls' high school.
Yeah, level. That was the boys' high school team. Everybody told us it couldn't be done. We really were. We were really told, you guys can't do it, you can't do it. Because this is strong soccer programs here with the 2 high schools. And they have secondary teams and all that. So, and even the private schools have teams, and they're working hard on it. And so, but we're like, no, somewhere, somehow, there are kids falling through the cracks. And that's a cornerstone of AYSO not letting that exact thing happen. kids fall through the cracks that want to enjoy the sport. So we began a very aggressive campaign to not necessarily recruit, but let people know that of the possibility and the option. And by the time it was all said and done, we had a team of over 18. And we field 11 on the field at a time, and the normal roster size is 14.
And you got 18.
And we got 18 of them, and hopefully several of them will be returning next year and maybe helping expand the program. Our 14-years, we have 14-years that in the spring now aged up. So now they have a team in the spring to go to. They don't have to leave the program. They don't have to be excluded from the possibility, the continuation of enjoying soccer into their high school years. We're not just clapping our hands saying bye.
Right.
Good day with you. No, there's a future there now for them.
Sure.
And that took a lot of work. And the girls program is just an even harder push to make, because high school sports, as you get older, for women becomes a little harder to find players because they're devoted, to volleyball and other activities, especially around here. A lot of other stuff starts to grab their attention, which is, that's life. That's people growing up.
Right.
So, but that just means we need to work harder.
Right. And speaking of working harder toward this, your role, what is your title?
Well, officially, I guess, I'm a man of many hats. I am regional community engagement or community outreach. That's my primary role. Well, that's not my primary role. That's my secondary role. I'm a coach first.
Okay.
I coach, currently I coach a 14U team, which is basically middle school kids getting ready to go into high school. And I coach the 19U program, our high school program also.
That's
so
great.
I do that in the spring. And if we get girls, I'll be coaching that team. If we do it. If not, I get a little less time on the field. Or I'll find somewhere else to bother to help another coach somewhere.
Right.
But community engagement is what I'm doing here, what I've been doing with the Chamber of Commerce, because we've discovered that it's a simple lack of awareness that the organization is here, that Grayslake AYSO itself is the oldest youth soccer organization in Grayslake. We're older than any of the clubs, and we are more deeply tied into the community than anybody realizes. The roots are strong here in that sense, but it seems like people have forgotten about that.
Sure.
It's like, so you're part of the family? Yeah, we're part of the family. Just because I haven't shown up to a couple of reunions for a while doesn't mean I'm not still part of the family. And that's what Grayslake AYSO is. We're going to turn 40 years old in 2026, and and that's just Grayslake.
Right.
And our sister regions around us, or some of them are, as you get closer to the city, they get older, because that's how it expanded out from the city. But, there's a lot of legacy there, and I'm a guy of legacy and tradition, because of the military thing and all that. It's just one of those things that's just ingrained into you. So to me, that means a lot. Some people are like, well, what does that mean? Well, that means that we have tradition. That means that we're not part of just soccer or youth sports. We're part of the fabric of Grayslake. When you start having, dads that were like, I played as a kid in the organization. My kid plays in it. Or I have grandkids and my kids played in it. And my grandkids are now starting to play in it. I mean, that's a strong thread that I don't think we talk about enough.
Yeah.
And people seem to recognize.
Yeah, you said something funny, too, because obviously you made enough impact on me at the chamber thing that I was like, community outreach, wait a minute. And everything you talked about, I'm like, I got to talk to him. But I like that you said something like, if I were to talk to, like, my childhood friends and, other people that grew up here, to see how many people that everybody listening right now knows somebody that's been involved in the program, right?
I never expected. I was kind of hoping when I said it in the Chamber of Commerce meeting
that somebody raised their hand.
Somebody would raise their hand. Yes,
Right.
I'm like, all right, I'm gonna either put my foot in my mouth here, and it's the equivalent of unzipping your fly and waiting to see what happens, in the crowd, look bad. But no, I asked. I said, who here has been part of AYSO or who knows somebody that's been in the organization, whether it's your child or your friend or whatever, and a good amount of people in that room raised their hand.
They did.
And it's what I said. It's like I could walk down the street. I said it there. I could walk down the street right now, and I guarantee you, by the time I get to first draft, at least a third of the people that I talk to randomly on the street will know what AYSO is like, or what it is, or who it is, and what it's on. They might be like, oh, with that organization, and it might be a foggy memory. It's that cousin that, like I said, hasn't been showing up to reunions,
right?
But it's a common thread. It's a much more common thread than people realize.
Do you know what I remember about it? It's really funny that just from the AYSO, as back in the day when everybody had bumper stickers, I remember I could see it just clear as day that people would have them driving around because they're and taking pride in being in such an organization as well. It's very cool.
Well, that's why. That being said, we haven't brought back bumper stickers, but we've brought back, which we're going to start putting out to all our new players this fall, a magnet of the shield. The shield that represents Grayslake, which was redesigned last fall, but very much within the tradition of the organization. The shield says, Grayslake, AYSO Region 396. That's our official designation. And it has the original colors, the blue and the red, which are the original uniform colors, which we are most likely retiring this year, actually.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the new
right.
colors.
We can tell when we don't record.
Tell me the secret. Because the boss lady says that she wants to announce that to the families.
Nice.
And it has a purpose. But so that all means a lot, and we want people to be proud. We want them to put it on their cars. We want them to want to get a shirt that says Grayslake AYSO and the meaning all behind that. And we want it should be the community team. That's what I always say everywhere I go. It's the Grayslake's team. It represents Grayslake AYSO, or any of the AYSOs, honestly, because they represent a town or an area or the community that they live in. Is in a lot of ways very pure soccer when you think about it, because it's not. I don't represent a club or a brand or a name or a university. If we're talking about college football or college sport, no, it's Grayslake AYSO. It represents nothing more than the community itself. In that sense, it's a very old and traditional way of thinking of sports, in which you play every weekend, not necessarily for whatever medal or trophy you might get, but you play for the name of the people of your town and of your community, and you represent that.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes I take a little bit of a slight when people are like, recreational soccer is not competitive. I'm like, say that to the kid.
Yeah, try that.
That's out there killing himself.
Right.
In the name of his and the pride of his for the pride of his town.
Yeah. And I love sports because I coach baseball, right? And everybody that listens to this knows that I'm a baseball guy, and I like to see people come through, and as coaches, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, to see, team sports. How many times I tell these kids, this isn't about you. This is about something bigger, right? It's about the team. It's about the town, and teaching people for teamwork, that obviously teamwork and working together goes to everything in your life, right?
Yeah.
And we say we don't teach people to play soccer and just baseball. We teach them to be good humans when they're in the field as well.
Exactly. Very much so. Very much so.
Which it seems that everybody needs a little refresher in that on how to work together.
Yeah. I mean, I've never come across a coach or never come across a player in which we're having an argument about politics, religion.
No.
I mean, you find, I don't care. Nobody cares about any of that when it comes to being on the field and with the ball.
Yeah. And soccer is a very interesting sport. I've got to experience a lot of different things in even like women's collegiate soccer. Mm-hmm. And I had no idea, man, because I was like baseball guy, like basketball guy, but to watch like a competitive like women's sport of soccer, what a just fascinating, great, exciting, and really to see how the teams work together.
Soccer can be a very emotional experience. I mean, especially in some parts of the world. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to like a live match.
In Italy.
In Italy? Oh, yeah. Okay. So there you go. No, you've been to the kind of place that where you're in this stadium and you're in these venues and you can feel the energy of the place. Yeah. And it like carries you. And you may not be like extremely hardcore on the team, but just to be around that and to feel of it,
unbelievable.
It lift you in such a way emotionally, and you're like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
And it's just because just when you get 40,000 people together all screaming and feeling the same emotions like that, it's something you can't control. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, the only other place I could imagine feeling that way. I've been to plenty of baseball games and been to football games, and I mean, if you're in longer down the season in football, maybe you get there.
Right.
But I've been to simple exhibition games, and it feels like that's the energy you get, and like I can't afford like a World Cup ticket.
Right.
So I couldn't tell you what the energy's like in that stadium.
Oh,
but if it's the way it's been, like more the exhibition games that I've seen, I was like, it's got to be psychotic.
Yes. No, it's wonderful.
And soccer just brings it out hardcore in people.
Yeah. No, it's really fun. Let's do, before we go any further, too, let's say somebody's interested right now, they're listening, and they're like, wow, I really want to get my child involved in AYSO. Where do they go? Is there a Facebook page, Instagram, website? Where would they go to get information right away?
Luckily, we have a really easy website. So
Let me guess.
We're grayslakesoccer.com.
All right. There you go.
Piece of cake.
That's right.
We lucked out in that one. That's what happens when you've been around longer than the internet. When they're doling out web addresses and you're there at the front of the line when it's happening.
Right.
You get it easily. So grayslakesoccer.com is the website. We're on Facebook under Grayslake Soccer 396, which is once again the region number. And we're obviously on Instagram also. The easiest things to do is I tell people, direct people more to Facebook than anything else because it's just so active. Our website is a reflection of, as far as you and things, photos coming from the Facebook. But the website, we register. We have the registration page. It shows all the age groups you can go in. Our pricing is there. You can volunteer there. So there's a volunteer portion where you can go in. That's obviously that's always our biggest challenge, is volunteers. But so we're easy to find in that sense. I like our Facebook in the sense that we're much more active than it had been in the past. So we're always putting out photos of the kids playing. We're always talking about what's coming up. So it's a really good place. And with our engagement more in the community too, I mean, just this morning, Avon Township's got a great movie night going on tonight.
Okay.
Well, everybody that hears this is going to be bad.
Right, but that's a great event, right?
But we make a point to talk about these things.
Right.
Also because once again, it is the community. Those are the easy places to find us. Registration is very simple. I mean, people created an account, and then you put the information about your kid, and then based off of their age, it'll tell you what programs are available.
Okay.
So it helps guide you in that sense. And if nothing else, you just shoot us a quick message, and we're on there in 2 seconds helping you through the process. It's pretty simple.
That's awesome. Okay, so because I'm not super familiar, is AYSO soccer, is this a fall sport, is it a spring sport? When do teams gather or get going?
So each region, runs their program a couple different ways. You can run simply what's the core program, which for most of them is fall soccer and spring soccer.
Okay.
8 to 10 week long season, weather permitting, and then the schedules within your regions may be bigger or smaller based off how many teams you have to play in the area and who you play against. Like we have the option to play just other AYSO teams if we choose.
Okay.
Well, we've shifted some of our age groups into playing into another recreational league that plays other communities, not just AYSO regions. So it's more competitive when we did that.
Right.
Because you're playing against places like Cary, Harvard, Wakanda. So we travel. So that's another misconception about recreational soccer. It's like, all you do is play the other Grayslake team and you don't go anywhere and you don't compete against them. There's no competitive play. So it's an ecosystem that's, that's not good for growth. And I'm like, that's totally false. We play against these other towns that build their own teams, build their own recreational leagues, and they bring some very competitive players at times. So you can feel the strength of their play. It's not, like I said, just an internal ecosystem.
Right.
But so that's the core program that most do. Now some will offer a winter program, which is maybe an indoor play league, which is a shorter, condensed program, or a winter training program. And then some offer summer league, which is once again a condensed summer session, also, or a summer training league. We opted in the vein of the player development philosophy, and that we kind of really take to heart. We do in Grayslake, we do summer training session. It's a player development program. It's a 5-week program in which each week has a theme to it, which is geared 100% to the player development, and meaning that we're not training kids to work necessarily together as a team in preparation for this weekend's game. We're attacking a fundamental skill. This week is your dribbling. Next week is your passing. After that, it's your shooting. It's all the stuff that sometimes coaches during the season at any level of play don't have the time to come back to. Sure. And kind of focus in on, because they're worried about what's the match next weekend against the other team. Right. So we do that, and we do it in the winter also.
Good.
Now during the winter, it's a little shorter because it's cold, and indoor facilities are just more expensive.
Most people have no idea what to do with their aging loved one who needs help. Well, there is a solution. A company that provides care and assistance to make your loved one feel right at home. At Right at Home, their mission statement is to improve the quality of life for those they serve. They offer extensive services: personal and companion care, safety supervision and transportation, fall prevention, dressing and bathing assistance, medical reminders, meal prep, hospice support, ambulation support, stroke recovery, Parkinson's support. The list goes on and on and on. If you have an aging loved one that needs help, call Right at Home. Most people prefer to age in their home rather than moving to an assisted living or nursing home. Right at Home can make this happen. Contact Right at Home at rightathomenlc.com or give them a call, 847-984-0103. Now back to the show.
Yes, so and there's a lot of teams trying to practice inside.
Yeah, in order to keep it affordable, it becomes like a once a week program during the winter, because we have to pay facility costs. But the summer program for us is, and I really am proud of this, especially for us, we initiated it this year. Traditionally, clubs and other regions, and there's nothing wrong with doing it this way, they do a camp, which is a 3 or 4 day camp, sometimes 5-day camp, and it's just that's the window of time, and it's either a 3-hour camp, sometimes they'll offer a full day camp, and that's what you do during the summer. You do the camp and you're done. Well, we thought that idea is convenient in the sense that if you have vacations, but we didn't feel like it was conducive to long-term player development and training. So we believe in the learning cycle, in which you're taught something, it's reinforced, and then it's applied, and that takes time. I don't know if anybody ever crammed anything to you in 3 and 4 days, and you were able to retain it that well afterwards. No. So, but I bet you if I teach you, we were talking about 3D printing earlier. If I take one day and tell you about it. If I take another day and we practice it together, and then I tell you the third day, okay, I'm going to watch you, let me see you apply it, and then we keep doing that with a different part of that particular task for 5 weeks, you'll be better than I am at it by the end of the 5 weeks.
I don't know about that, but
so that's exactly what we're doing with soccer. That's what we're doing with youth soccer. So the idea is that instead of cramming you into this convenient time space to get you to have some fun, I guess, and enjoy, and you do get more touches, right, we're going to stretch it out. And we're going to ensure that you're learning and developing as a player. And whether you play for, and the thing is, whether you play for Grayslake AYSO in the fall, or you go back to another organization, meaning your school that you play for or a club that you play for, you can be in the program. And the hope is that you go back and be successful, whether you're with us or without us. I have no incentive for you to move on from the task of making you better at whatever individual skill we are. I'm not worried about a win. I'm worried about just making you better is my only concern.
Right. Developmental. and it's a great thing, especially if kids go on to play other places or anything.
Yeah.
Those fundamentals and developing these kids at this age is so important.
We understand that, while we would love everybody to do the full AYSO program from start to finish, from 6 years old all the way through high school, we just understand people have different needs and feels and desires.
Sure.
People want to play in clubs and travel a little farther and go to bigger tournaments. Maybe they feel like that their growth could expand in those organizations. Collegiately, they'll want to go to high school because maybe they want to go to college. So we understand that those needs are out there, and that move beyond us is possible. I mean, we have to be realistic of that.
Right.
So, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to work as hard as possible to create a program in which a kid that decides that he wants to be in it from 8 all the way through high school isn't getting a very fulfilled experience and a quality experience. You know, that's the other fight we have. That's the misconception of recreational soccer or of soccer put on by a group of nothing but volunteers. You know, oh my God, you must be underqualified. Or, oh my God, your program must be a circus.
Right.
You know, because you're not a paid professional.
Do you know, here's a funny side note. So I was coaching Little League Baseball last year, and one of the kids came up to me and he told me, he says, well, Coach Dave, well, you're just a volunteer. You don't have any practical life experience. And I'm like, dude, I played college baseball. Like, what do you know? But that was like an 8-year-old's impression of what the volunteer was.
You've probably forgotten more about the sport than he knows all about it.
Well, ever know, right?
Yeah, so it's like that's and I'm not saying that the organizations, the clubs, or that put that out there themselves.
Sure.
But it's out there, so it's coming from somebody, whether it's parents that are, for lack of a better word, having to justify the incredible expense that they put in, you know, and the feeling that it's the best interest of their kids, which it very well could be. You know, for all I know, their kid's gonna be a superstar.
Sure.
So I can't read the tea leaves now and tell you he's not, and that they're wasting their money. That's not true.
Right.
So, by all means, you know, be a capitalist. Make your decide with your wallet all you want.
Right.
But that means we have to now work harder to remind people that no, AYSO's coach training, internal training is accredited, and from somebody personally, I've gone, and this is not bragging by any means because it's just a lot of time and learning. I've done AYSO's program all the way from 8U through advanced 19U training, so I'm qualified across every single age group to train. You know, I actively do all age groups because of the summer and the winter program. It keeps me fresh with little kids all the way through. So when I heard this argument and this idea that recreational soccer coaches aren't as good or that the training isn't as good, I literally invested my own money, and I've been going to all the United States Soccer Federation training for all the same age groups.
Really?
Just to compare.
Yeah.
Compare and to gain whatever knowledge I can.
Sure.
I want to learn more. I want to know more. You know, I'd never go to these training sessions, especially the in-person one, with this idea that, I already know what I'm doing. I'm qualified over here for it. No, what can I gain from it?
Right.
What do they know that I don't know? You know, everybody's experiences are different. So, but having now sat in both of these classes, I can tell you the training is far more parallel than different. This is not even Venus and Mars kind of thing. We're just on different continents and we speak the language a little different.
Right.
You know, but we're all driving in the exact same direction.
Wow.
So that's why it's breaking that barrier.
Yeah.
With families and with people in the public that just don't seem to get it, you know.
Well, and I'm sure yours is the same as any other sport too. I mean, we have kids that just want to get out and try things, right, and develop. And there's other kids that they think their kids are going to be playing in the World Cup, right? So you have it all across the board.
That's true, and I'll give that. That's why, and I give a lot of credit to especially volunteer coaches, and there are other organizations that do have volunteer coaches. So AYS was not the only one doing it. We just happen to be the biggest and oldest and all that.
Right.
We get all those cool titles. But there are plenty of people out there doing great things in their communities as volunteers and running rec soccer. And the toughest thing about being a rec soccer coach is that you don't get to pick your players. You know, I don't have the luxury of a tryout of 300 kids where I get to pick out the best that are going to work within the system that I'm trying to do. No, we take them all. And we take you at whatever level of development that you come with,
right.
And we have a responsibility to work to make them better and make them work together. This is 100% true. In the spring, we had a high school player that it was his first time ever playing soccer, organized soccer. He saw soccer a year before and thought it was a great, interesting sport. And he'd been practicing by himself at his local park. Never played an organized game with anyone. And he said he wanted to be on the high school team. And AYSO's open enrollment. We don't turn anybody away. You know, we cap the roster, once it's full. But we don't turn anybody away that wants to learn. And that kid was incredibly devoted. He followed every bit of instruction he was given, and he never quit. He never complained. He never whined. And his potential is still very much untapped. But, somebody that's watched kids for a while now, as far as how they develop and play, I mean, there's a lot there that can be opened up, and in the next year or two, we could be looking at a completely different picture of a player. And that's just because we didn't say no to him.
Right. I love that.
We didn't judge him beforehand.
No, I love that.
And so it's, I will say people should want to, give a little more grace to these people that are volunteering, whether it's AYSO or anywhere else.
Oh my goodness, yes. And volunteers complain a lot less than people that haven't volunteered. That's for sure.
You'll never hear us arguing about our paycheck.
Well, no, there's nothing to argue about there.
There's nothing to argue about there. So and that's it. True. You have to that person that's on the sideline that's taking that extra time, coming straight from work or wherever to help these kids out and pass on what knowledge they have and the care for the sport. There's nothing stronger than the heart of a volunteer, right?
And you know what? And everywhere we go, and I don't care if I'm talking to the president of the chamber right now or talking to you, it's like volunteers make everything go. And that's what every organization needs them. And unfortunately, the same people volunteer almost all the time across the board for a lot of things.
Yes, I have met a lot of people wearing a lot of different hats across organization and sports. Yes.
Right. I always see the same people. The same person that volunteers at church is on the volunteer of the chamber and the baseball coach or a soccer coach everywhere.
One of our assistant soccer coaches coaches with the Colts.
Sure.
And then he helps with the church and
That's just those. Hey, but those people get it, and you can make a big difference by volunteering, and that's what I always tell people. It's such a great thing. All right, we're going to switch gears, Javier, because usually about halfway through we do this, but we're saved this for the end for you. So how many podcasts have you listened to a podcast of mine all the way through?
I haven't listened to a whole one all the way through, but I have listened to several of them.
All right,
and I followed your page for a while, so I know about the organization.
Well, and you're here, so you know that I'm not a total terrible person. Well, not until we're done with this part anyway. But usually we do, and we pause right here to get to know you just a little bit better. I call this the Grayslake Hot Seat. So I have some rapid-fire questions so the community can get to know you just a little bit better.
Okay.
Some are serious, some are not.
The Grayslake Hot Seat is brought to you by Joe Velez at JPV Financial. It's often said that those who fail to plan are planning to fail. Joe Velez and his team at JPV Financial create unique financial plans that address some of the most difficult challenges that people might face as they get older. No matter what stage of life you're in, having a proactive financial plan can help navigate some of the difficult decisions you'll face, helping you live your life by design, not default. Securities and investment advisory service offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Now for the Grayslake Hot Seat. Hey, thanks, Joe.
All right.
So, don't worry. You strike me as the guy that can pretty much handle anything anyway. Hey, when you first meet somebody, how do they impress you?
How do they impress? Firm handshake.
Firm handshake.
I won't lie. Mm-hmm. If that's the traditional answer, that's a firm handshake and a conversation in which they look at you straight in the eyes.
Yes, eye contact. Yes. Try to teach my 8-year-old that. Look them in the eye, shake their hand, right? Tell me something on your bucket list.
I've done a good bit of traveling. No thanks to the Army. I'd like to do more. So I have yet to go somewhere like Iceland. I've yet to go to Europe recreationally.
Right.
And so I want to travel more. I want to see more of this world, because I think there's so many people that never think of the idea of getting a passport. And, I think I've learned so much more from seeing the outside in, and appreciating here more because of that. So I simply I want to travel more.
I love that. My favorite one. Tell me about your first car you ever had.
Oh, well, that's easy. First car was a 1996 Ford Probe GT. My father bought it for me for $1,500, but then he told me that I had to get it roadworthy. So it cost me another $1,500 to get it on the road. So while, yes, my father did buy my first car, he did not put it on the road for me. I had to do that. So
well, that's a good lesson in life right there.
I think it's a happy split,
It is. Last thing you Google searched?
Last thing I Google searched, as a matter of fact, because I spend way too much time looking up soccer training techniques, I believe in the philosophy of cleatless and barefoot soccer training. because of the connection that it can make to your foot, to your brain, and how it builds ball handling. I was looking that back up again just because I had done it before, and I was thinking about doing it with the summer session for once. It always blows parents' minds when you pull it out.
Yeah.
You have to remember that sometimes as a coach, you are putting on a little bit of a show. So, especially when you want your program to look good and all that, there has to be an element of that to you. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be a good representative of anything, you have to be able to put on a show. So I said, well, I know it's really good, so it's not like me wasting time doing it. So let's take a look at it again. Let's refresh, the benefits for when I do talk about it, because I'm not a doctor and I'm not a professional coach. So let's see what the professionals say about it. So
very interesting.
I'm always looking at new stuff like that. So I'm never. I consider myself a lifelong student. Of
love that.
Anything and everything I do.
Awesome. Tell me something that you wish you learned sooner in life.
Something I wish I learned sooner in life. That's a good one. That's a really, really good one. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one.
We can come back to that.
Yeah, let's come back to that one. I really have to think about that one.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things I needed to know earlier. Superpower. You get one to choose from. What would one superpower you'd like to have?
The ability to heal people. I think there's so many people in pain in the world that simply the ability to take that away from people can drastically change their life. I myself have chronic back pain issues from an injury when I was younger, and so it's very hard for me it's honestly very hard for me to coach. I'm in a lot of pain a lot of times when I do it. I luckily have an assistant coach usually to help me out. If not, I kind of gut through it, or even my kids, because they're on a team, they'll help me set cones up. Yeah. But so I know that the times where my back feels a lot better because either I did a fresh round of some kind of care, medication or therapy, that it all of a sudden really changes the way I feel. Mm-hmm. So I can only imagine if I were able to take away somebody's pain, and somebody else's pain, I can only imagine how their life would all of a sudden feel so much more and be so much more different.
Wow, I love that answer. If your life was a book, what would the title of that be right now?
A little bit of everything. I think it's what it'd be, because I've been around. I guess I don't consider myself an old man. I'm only 40, but I've gotten into enough bits of trouble and seen enough different things to feel like I've experienced. I think the worst thing you can say about yourself at the end of your life is that, oh, I didn't do that, or I didn't try that, or I didn't go there. And I think I'm fortunate that even today I can say, well, I've been in a lot of those places, right, and I've done a lot of these things, and I've kept myself wide open on the possibilities of what direction I could go into. So, and that, since I don't have a lot of regret. So
I love that.
That's good. I want to keep it going that way.
Yeah, and keep moving forward. I like that you're a student, right? You're going to always be a student.
I've done shooting instruction when out of the Army, so I've been an instructor there. I did, like I said, experiential education, and then in soccer and other stuff that I've done too. And it's, if at any point you call yourself a master or an expert or the man or whatever you want to say, it's you should live your life as if you were an empty cup, unable to ever fill itself. If you ever get to a point where your cup is full, then what else can you take in at that point? So be that empty cup. Be a cup that can't be filled, and always looking to do that. So, like I said, I'm a student of.
I love it. You consider yourself book smarts or street smarts?
I think a happy mix of both. I would consider myself smarter than the average bear, but by no means an Einstein figure. I'm terrible at math.
Okay.
So my kids are actually kind of good at it.
Yeah.
So I have great hopes for my retirement prospects because of that. I'm hoping for some engineers.
That's great.
That's what I'm pushing for. That's my plan. My plan is to spend it before I can ever get to that age and count on them.
Amen. Do you have a nickname?
I do not. Well,
you seem like the guy that you'd have a nickname.
Javier, but my wife my wife and family cut it down to Javi for Javi. But as far as like a straight up nickname, I have been getting more and more nowadays going to the Chamber of Commerce and the exchange, and the more I talk about soccer around town, I'm now the soccer guy more places I go to.
That's great. So, and could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. Yeah, I mean, I'm not Bobo or anything like that, not to criticize people that are named Bobo.
Now the really important ones. Have you ever eaten a roller dog from a gas station?
A roller dog from a gas station? Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I live on the wild side like that, of course. All the way. The only thing I haven't been dumb enough to do, which my wife has been, is eating gas station sushi.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she's done that, and I'm like, no, gas station and sushi together. I mean, not even in Japan, even though it's wonderful there. I mean, at 7-Eleven, sure. I've done that. I mean, but...
That's funny. Did you play a sport in high school?
No, because of my distaste, like I said earlier, about organized sports. I stayed away from it in high school. In high school, I was in a rock climbing club. That was the coolest thing I did as far as extracurricular activity.
Rock climbing club.
Yeah.
Never have I heard that from anybody.
I know. It was a groundbreaking thing when we were doing it, and we had a lot of fun with it. Because on the East Coast, we'd go to Sugarloaf Mountain for anybody that knows Maryland and knows the Appalachian Trail. And we say Sugarloaf Mountain, but it's like a hill.
Right.
But it's got the rock formation's got a couple good outcroppings. So it was a great place to be a teen and a high schooler, just to learn the most fundamentals of rock climbing and rappelling, which is always fun. Is always much more fun than rock climbing because it's fun to go down and look cool.
Right.
So that was our thing. Our rock climbing club lead teacher instructor, he said he used to do these things where we'd stay after school if we weren't like going out somewhere or learning something for the club, and he's like, let's go watch Cliffhanger and Vertical Limit. And he's like, let's watch those movies and make fun of them. Because they're actors doing it, and you're on site. They're probably on a mountain 10 times higher than we'll ever see.
Right.
But he's like, but that's how he, kept the energy up about the idea of us going to a little hill compared to these guys.
That's awesome. Favorite event in Grayslake to go to?
Favorite event in Grayslake to go to? Summer days.
Yeah.
Coming up. I mean, I think that's one of the more of the fun events. I like the taste of Grayslake. I just don't like the mosquitoes.
No.
So, but I mean, that's everybody, and we all put up with it. But I think
the skeeters just sit out there and wait for us. They're like, there's a couple thousand people coming here tonight.
Yeah, Grayslake just does a great job with those two events, especially. I mean, it's just they're well coordinated. I mean, well put on. They're good size. From being a slightly paranoid person, they're well secured.
Yeah. So if you have to eat and take your family to eat anywhere in Grayslake, where are you going to eat?
We ebb and flow. Right now, since Dogs and Suds is down for business for now,
right?
We haven't been able to go there. As a matter of fact, this is not a lie at all. My 8-year-old daughter, we were driving back from a soccer game from Harvard, and I think we passed by the one that's up north.
Yep.
On our way back, and we offered. We're like, oh, let's all stop here and eat. Well, and my daughter's like, no. This is not the Grayslake. We cannot go to this one, and we have to go to the Grayslake one. That's loyalty.
All right. Well, and at the time of this recording, they're not back open yet, but very soon.
Oh,
you
better believe that we're waiting for grand opening. I'm hoping. I really want to. I want them to be open so we can do a couple times where I just take teams, where I can take my whole teams there.
Oh, yeah. And what a great memory for the kids, too, right?
Yeah. But other than that, right now, it's first draft, actually, is where I'm spending too much time.
Yeah, me too much time. I think that's a good way to put it. I have, too. And thank you guys for letting me spend too much time there. Let's do this. Last thing you purchased on Amazon.
Last thing I purchased on Amazon. Oh, this is very specific that I purchased on Amazon.
Oh, gosh.
I know exactly what it was. I'll tell you the last two, actually.
All right.
The last definite one was a replacement remote control because my kids lost the other one inside the couch somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's rattling around there.
We have a couch that eats things,
and we have no plan to go, Jacques Cousteau and find it. So we kind of left it off to existence to the Netherlands of the couch. So a replacement remote.
All right.
And then just before that is a replacement belt for my 3D printer that I snapped earlier last week.
That's just fascinating. We're going to have to sit down and talk about that sometime more.
So those are the last two. And surprisingly enough, if we go down the list, just a couple more items, it would have been soccer cones.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm buying equipment all the time.
I bet you are.
AYSO provides every coach with equipment, and we have a good amount of it in the shed for public, meaning for public use for our coaches to take and use.
Yeah.
But I'm always buying equipment. Anytime I think that maybe we could buy something for the region to use, I'll usually buy it first, try it out, and then it's like, this is a waste of money. No, let's not buy it. I'll keep using it,
right?
Because I have it. It's a toy in that sense.
That's awesome.
But if it's useful, then I'll be like, hey, Jess, my wife, who's the regional commissioner in charge of the actual region, I'll be like, hey, we should buy this for all the coaches. They'll get a good kick out of it and good use out of it.
Nice. All right, so we're at the end. I've never ended with a hot seat question, so thank you for participating in that. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you sharing your love of soccer and about AYSO with us. Give us the information. Give us the website one more time. Anybody that wants to.
Anybody that wants to register and sign up, we currently run a fall season for when we're getting ready for fall season when you hear this. But we obviously run fall, spring season, which starts at the end of March. We start practicing. First week of April, we start playing. We run a summer program, and then we run a winter program. And summer is 5 weeks. Winter program is 8. Usually, you go to grayslakesoccer.com.
Yes.
And then you just go to registration from there. We are the only soccer within the area, within Grayslake, that you can put your kid into play for 2 full seasons. It includes the uniform for under $200.
That's awesome.
That's a full 8 to 10 week season in the fall, full 8 to 10 week season in the spring, a full uniform, and we're a little different than some other regions where we actually give 2 jerseys. One away and one home.
Cool.
Sometimes most regions just do 1, or they even do a reversible one, which is uncomfortable.
Yeah. No.
So, but we do 2, and then we do a couple other perks that are going to debut for the fall that I can't mention here. But
right.
I'll tell you in a second.
Okay, sounds good.
So you can find us there. We're on Facebook with Grayslake AYSO 396. We're on Instagram. We're always posting. We're always out there. The goal, and what I want everybody to understand about AYSO, especially in Grayslake, is that we're about bringing soccer and youth and the community closer together. We're about bringing pride to the community. I want the town, I want the community to embrace the region as its own, as the place to, when you talk about soccer, they don't even say the AYSO team anymore. It's just the Grayslake soccer team. That's how close I want it to believe, because we're the ones playing for the name of the community and its people. And I also believe that beyond soccer and beyond the field, there's a lot of power in of an organization of 200 to 300 families that are together, linked and networked. What could we do? What kind of food drives could we run? What kind of community outreach could we make? What kind of impact could we make in our network and our connection of people that could benefit ultimately the community well beyond what we do in a soccer field? I mean, just immigration outreach to immigrant communities, that soccer is bigger overseas. So anybody new to Grayslake that doesn't speak the language knows soccer. So this is where you start making the connection to the community and being part of it. That's just one place where we can be impactful. So that's what I want people to really take away. Beyond, yes, we're going to provide your kids with a fun experience on the field, and we're going to teach them the great sport, and we want them to have fun no matter where they come in at what age experience. I want people to know that the potential within our region of Grayslake and of Grayslake AYSO as a soccer organization is way beyond that. And I know that our leadership and myself and all of us working now are thinking way beyond just that ball in those fields.
Amen. Well, thank you for your time today, Javier. I really appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you being here and having the opportunity to hopefully reach more people. And this is cool. This is one, I get, like I said, I mean, I never saw myself having the opportunity to. I know about your podcast.
Yeah.
It wasn't when you came to me at the Chamber of Commerce. It's not the first time I'd heard about you. I was like, man, that'd be kind of cool. And my wife, who's the regional coach, she's like, man, you got to figure out a way to get on that. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Well, we're be in the right place.
Never
right
thought
peoples,
about
right?
it. And the next thing you know, here I am. So
I love it.
This is awesome. So.
I love it. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate all your hard work. And Grayslake, thank you guys for listening wherever you're at. Do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're at, whether you're on, oh my gosh, Spotify or Apple or Amazon or YouTube or wherever the heck you're at. And I want to leave everybody with this too. Javier and I talked a lot about get out there and volunteer for something. I don't care if it's for soccer, if at your church or
there's a lot of good causes.
Food pantry. I don't care what it is, right?
If I'm going to plug anybody other than volunteering for AYSO, I'm going to go help Michelle at the Avon Township.
Yeah, and you know what? Just a great job. And we talk about her all the time. Thank you for all the hard work you guys are doing out there. And folks, as we always end, we never know what our friends or families, even strangers on the street are going through. So do me a favor, get out there today on Tuesday and Wednesday and every day that you listen. 1-2 different random acts of kindness. Hold the door for somebody. Smile. Just say hello. Say good morning to somebody. Be a good human being. Kindness spreads like wildfire because people have bad days, and you can lift them up just with a little simple random act. So we'll leave them with that. Javier, thank you again, buddy. Appreciate you. And Grayslake, we'll see you next Tuesday, everybody.